So today is Sunday, January 19th. And last night, right before the TikTok ban took effect, I was watching a lot of these videos that people were complaining about. And I see how angry they were, about this ban. And I always get a kick out of how ignorant people are. Because this was a ban that we all knew may happen. It is also one of those rare times that both Republicans and Democrats have actually agreed on something. But the backstory is that they did have a hearing in April with the head of TikTok to explain how they collect their data. And the reason why they wanted to ban TikTok was because of the security risks they actually felt was a risk to national security. However, they did give ByteChain the chance to not be banned if they would divest their company and sell it to an American entity. Something which they refused to do. And so they hoped the Supreme Court would take their case and say, hey, the ban is wrong, we don't agree with it, it's a First Amendment violation. Unfortunately for them, TikTok did not get what they wanted, and thus they got banned. Now, I saw some videos last night from people who are angry and blaming the U.S. government for this, saying that they're banning it because they don't have control of the algorithm and that is why they are banning it. Which is the most stupidest reason I've ever heard in my life, because the majority of most social media apps have an algorithm. And I will be the first to admit, I don't know what that means. All I know from them is that is how they send you content. You are on a dating app, they go based on your profile, based on your questionnaire, based on your views and your likes. On Facebook, it depends on what you're viewing. On TikTok, it's based on your content, what you watch. It's all a computerized thing. I don't know the first thing about that, except that that's what they use algorithms for. But if they're complaining about TikTok, why are they not complaining about Facebook? Or Instagram? Or even the dating apps like Tinder or OkCupid? They all have algorithms. Government doesn't control them. In fact, dating apps are probably worse because it's easy to scam, because they're using all these dating apps to scam people, for crypto or some get-rich scheme deal. And nobody seems to see the irony on that. But you're blaming the government because they can't control TikTok. And so they're angry, and they're angry because their livelihood is on TikTok. And you're acting like you don't have other social media resources to get your livelihood. But that is wrong, because you can make money off Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Telegram, maybe Tumblr, you have all of these, and people are posting videos on there too. And YouTube is also a money maker. And most of the people that have these accounts on TikTok, most of these influencers on TikTok also have accounts on Instagram, on Twitter, on YouTube. So why are you complaining about it? And if you're saying if you're complaining about how they don't do gun control or they don't do medical and stuff, well, then you're obviously not informed, because you obviously don't know how the government works, because it is there. Congress and the Senate do talk up. You don't know what's going on behind closed doors. They're working on several bills at once. They have lobbyists who are lobbying to make this a law or to take this away or whatnot. And the Democrats do have several bills, gun laws included, that the Republicans will not touch. So if you want to complain, fine, you can complain, but you are not educated. You are ignorant. And if you want to bitch and complain, that is fine. That's your right, but at least educate yourself first and read up about it. This isn't something that just happened overnight. This is something that happened back in April. And it's not like they didn't say this was a possibility. It was a daily thing that news medias kept saying daily, that a possible ban is in sight. And then when the Supreme Court sided in with Congress on Friday, the notification was there is that TikTok will shut down because the Supreme Court ruled against them. This is not something that people are hearing about now. People should have prepared themselves for this. They didn't think it was serious. But again, you could spread all the conspiracy theories you want. Because if you refuse to actually educate yourself and read exactly what's going on, you would actually maybe understand a little bit more. Having said that, the irony on this is that people are now downloading this new app called RedNote, which is actually worse than TikTok because it's all in Chinese. And I mean that literally because I went to their Play Store. I did not download it, but I went to the Play Store to read the description, and it's in Chinese. 95% of Americans do not speak, read, or write Chinese, or even understand it. So how are you downloading an app without knowing what it is you're actually downloading? And based on what I've seen and heard, the terms and conditions are really much propaganda, because you have to agree to the Chinese Constitution, the Chinese way of life, and that you agree to hand everything over to the Chinese government. Why do I have to agree to the Chinese Constitution when I'm already following my Constitution? Why do I have to agree to their way of life when I'm in America? And then you have people going on video and basically looking at a Chinese car that's saying, I wish this car was made in America because this is a beautiful car, because it's pink, and we can't get pink cars in America. Well, first off, if you really want the car, you could just buy it and they can ship it to you, because most cars, that's how they come to this country anyway. They get shipped here. So that's number one. But number two, people are saying the corn in China is 90 cents, and America, we're paying $7.99 for it. RedNote is a Chinese propaganda app. And people are reading these terms and conditions that are in Chinese, and I don't understand. Why are people downloading an app when they have no idea what it is, what it does, or what they're even downloading? And RedNote has no American office, no American identity, no American employees. And it's worse because now you're signing your entire life to the Chinese government. So now you're agreeing to their terms and conditions. They have your email, they have your phone number, they have Google, Facebook, whatever you're using to log in. And if you have to make a profile, they now have that too. Which means you can start getting things Chinese related, and there's nothing you can do about it because you just signed unknowingly a contract agreeing to become a part of the Chinese propaganda machine. So it's actually worse. So it kind of defeats the purpose of why TikTok was banned as a national security risk. So I don't understand that either. But if people are going to complain, let them complain. But know what you're complaining about first. Educate yourself and read it. Having said that, Donald Trump has said he's going to sign an executive order to restore TikTok or give them a 90-day reprieve. The only problem that I have with that is that Donald Trump says a lot of things, but doesn't follow up on that. He said he can get grocery prices down. Then he says, I can't do it. Well, no surprise there. We already knew that. And he also said he can't end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours. Well, duh, we knew that too. It's actions, not words. So if Donald Trump says he's going to do it, I'll take a wait-and-see approach. But as I record this video, I'm getting notifications saying that TikTok is in the process of being restored. Which I think is wrong, because as of today, it is still illegal to have TikTok. Donald Trump is not yet the president. Joe Biden is still the president. Donald Trump cannot give an executive order until he is sworn in on January 20th. So the fact that TikTok is now restoring its service while the law is still in effect is beyond comprehension, because Donald Trump says he'll give an executive order. And I would wait and see on that. I just don't know what he can and cannot do, because the Supreme Court already ruled. And there's nothing you can do. The Supreme Court is the highest court in the land. So once their ruling is done, once their ruling is official, there's nowhere else you can turn. So I don't know how Donald Trump is going to be able to give a 90-day reprieve. But it's a wait-and-see approach, and I wouldn't be so quick to restore the service, because that kind of defeats the purpose of the ban, which basically means it's not a ban. They're just going on that assumption. Which brings me to point number 2 today that I want to make. It's the Israeli hostage ceasefire deal that Donald Trump has been taking credit for when he had nothing to do with it. Now, let me back up and say that Donald Trump is a narcissistic, egomaniac psychopath. Yes, there, I said it. And he's taking credit for a deal that Joe Biden, at his farewell address, said he negotiated a deal, and Donald Trump has to honor the terms that were made in the deal. But everybody is agreeing that Donald Trump is responsible for the deal, even though he wasn't. And when I wrote about it somewhere, somebody said to me, don't you find it convenient that Joe Biden did this on his last week in office? Don't you find it convenient that he did this now when he was leaving office? And I said, no, because you have no idea how long they've been negotiating for. For all you know, they could have been negotiating for the last 6 months. But they're not saying anything because it was complicated. It was on and off negotiations. You're making an assumption based on the fact that it happened now. It just happened to be that the ceasefire agreement was agreed to at this point in time and the last full week of his presidency. It just happened to be that way. It's not like they timed it that way. Negotiations like this are very complicated, and they were on and off. And there's multiple people, multiple parties involved. Egypt, Qatar, Hamas, Israel. I'd like to know why people seem to think that they know how the government works, but when it doesn't go their way, they bitch and complain about it, unless it does go their way, and then they're happy about it. They are praising Donald Trump for getting something that he had nothing to do with done. Narcissists will always take credit for everything, and they like that. And they're going to praise Donald Trump now because of the TikTok thing, unaware, unknowingly, whether or not TikTok is going to last or be shut down again. But they're going to praise him anyway and say thank you, without even knowing any of the facts. And I'm not commenting because I don't know the facts. All I can tell you is I'll probably write something on Truth Social saying, I got it done, and that's it. And people will give him credit and say, thank you for getting it done. But he got nothing done. He's not the president. As far as I'm concerned, but TikTok is still illegal in the United States until otherwise not. So until that is done, it is considered illegal, and I will treat it as such. Same thing with the Israeli deal. People can't just go by what somebody says. Oh, I took credit for it. No, you didn't. How do you know? Well, because I read about it. Like, oh, so do you believe everything you read? I said, well, clearly you do. I said, you believe everything you read? Just because someone says they got the deal done doesn't mean they got it done. Again, Joe Biden got the negotiating done. I'm glad that the hostages are coming home. I'm glad they reached the ceasefire deal. My mom is going to Israel, so I'm happy she's going when the war is over, or at least it's a ceasefire. So I'm glad for that. But I will say this, negotiations are complex, they're complicated, and really, there's a lot of moving parts to it. So when people are coming back to me and saying that it's convenient that Joe Biden got the deal done right when he's leaving office, is just stupid, ignorant, and uneducated, because myself included, I do not know what is involved in these negotiating tactics. I don't know what goes on behind closed doors, and I don't know who was, and I don't know where it took place or how long it took place. I have absolutely no idea. But I do know negotiations can take years, they can take months, they can take weeks. So to say that it's convenient that Joe Biden did it 5 days before he's leaving office, and it's convenient, is just wrong. Because you don't know. And by the way, they've been trying to negotiate for months, and they had a deal that Netanyahu did decline. He said no to that deal that they had originally. People forget to mention that part, that there was a deal earlier that Netanyahu rejected flat out. So, and again, and I don't know what was in that deal, nor do I care. Or or what? Not. So, and nobody seems to mention that fact. They're only concerned about this one because they hate Biden so much. And the only reason why they hate Biden is because Donald Trump told them they needed to hate Biden. That's the only reason. But if you speak bad about Donald Trump, people go batshit crazy and say, have respect, he's the president of the United States. I'm like, but so is Joe Biden. And you kept saying nasty things about him and no respect for him. So why am I hypocrite? Why be hypocrite? You can't have it both ways. But the hostage negotiation, Joe Biden got the deal done. Thank you, Joe Biden. Thank you for your 50 years of service. And I said it in my last post, I'm not going to harp on this again, but the deal is done. The hostages are home, and that's all that matters. And they are going to be scarred for life, psychologically and emotionally, and they're going to need a lot of therapy or vacation time, whatever. But they are home. They get to live their lives again. Unfortunately, it changes them forever. And that's pretty much it. And we just have to grin and bear it. I thank you for watching again, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday.